Good morning. We're going to be starting chapter 2 today, lesson 2.1. It's on fractions and decimals. So when we do the place value, we've got our thousands place, then our hundreds place, our tens place, our ones place, and then we have our decimal, and then the space to the right after the decimal is tenths, which kind of lines up with tens. Hundreds kind of lines up with hundreds. Thousands kind of lines up with thousands, and so on. For 6th grade, we will be dealing with thousands, hundreds, and tenths. So I'm scooting down page 69. Write 0.5 as a fraction and 1.2 as a mixed number in simplest form. So 0.5 is a fraction. If I say that out loud, 5/10, I can write it as a fraction, 5/10. And I tell my students, say it out loud, and it pretty much will give you the answer. When you have 5/10, and we want to simplify it, 5/10, you can divide top and bottom by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So if we're simplifying 5/10, it would simplify down to 1/2. When we have this decimal, the word that we say in the decimal's place is and. So this is 1 and 25 hundredths. This is our tenths place, but we're going to the hundredths place this time. So it's 1 and 25 hundredths. So it's going to be 1 whole and 25 hundredths. So then they want us to simplify it. So 1 and 25 hundredths equals 1 25 hundredths. Well, if I'm just looking at my fraction, 25 hundredths, what is the GCF? The greatest common factor that will go into 25 and 100 is 25. So 25 divided by 25 is 1. 100 divided by 25 is 4. So we have 1 and 1/4 is the same as 1.25. These two match. Let's move to page 70. On page 70, we have 6 3/8 as a decimal. So we've got 6 out front, and that's our whole number, but we need to find out what 3/8 is as a decimal. Well, 3/8 isn't easy like 5/10 or something like that. So if it's a decimal, a fraction that's not very friendly or one that we recognize, then what we need to do is we're going to take the top number 3, and if you say it out loud, 3 divided by 8. So 3, and then do your divided by bracket, and then 8. Well, 8 can't go into 3, so I'm going to put a decimal. I usually just add 2 zeros because I usually need at least 2 zeros. Sometimes I need more. Move my decimal straight up. 8 goes into 30 3 times. We have 24. Bring down my 0. 8 goes into 60 7 times. 56. And then I am going to need another 0. Make my bracket a little bit longer. Bring down my last 0. 8 goes into 40. So 6 is our whole number. 3/8 is the same as 3.75. So I have 6, and the 3/8 is 3.75. I also like to think of it as, pretend it's a test, and you got 3 out of 8 correct. This would be 37.5%. Does that sound about right? If I got 4 out of 8 right, I would have 50%. So this is a little bit less than 50%, so it does sound about right to me. We can also find them on a number line. So graph 3 3/5 on a number line, and then write it as a decimal. So when I have a number line like this, I like to fill in the whole number line because that helps me to make sure that I'm not skipping anything. So if this is 3 and there's nothing here, then I skip 1, it's 3 1/5. So skip this one, 3 2/5. Skip this one, 3 3/5. Skip this one, 3 3/4, skip this one, and then 4, and that's the same as 3 5/5. So the bottom is all filled out, and then I have 3.2 here with a 3.3 and 3.0 is the same. So if this is 3.0, this is 3.2. Then I'm going to put a 3.1 in the middle. So 3.0, 3.1, 3.2. Oh, I've got the pattern. I can totally finish it off now. 3.3, 3.4, 3.5, 3.6, 3.7, 3.8, 3.9, and 4.0. Then it says graph 3.3 3/5 on the number line. So here's my 3 3/5, and I graphed it on the number line. And now it wants to know what is the decimal of that fraction. Well, I can just look straight ahead because I filled in the whole chart, so it's really easy. So 3.6 is the same as 3 3/5. And at the bottom of the page, write decimals for 1/50th and 2/25ths. So here's 0, 1/50th, 1/25th, which would actually 3/50ths. So this would be the same as 2/50ths. 2/50ths and 1/25th would simplify. 3/50ths, and then 2/25ths, which is the same as 4/50ths, and then 1/10. So 1/50th and 2/25ths, and it says write the decimal. So the decimal for 1/50th is going to be right above it, 0.2. The decimal for 2/25ths, or 4/50ths, is going to be 0.08. And at the top we just started with 0 and going to 0.1. So it's going to be 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and so on until we get to 0.10 or 0.1. Okay, let's take a look at some of these. So write the fraction or mixed number in simplest form. So 95.5, so it's 95 5/10 if I'm saying it out loud. So 95 5/10, we simplify this by dividing by 5, and we get 1/2, 95 1/2. Over here, if I say this out loud, 6/10, 6/10, and we divide by 2 on the top and bottom, and you end up with 3/5. 5 75/100. These are, I always think of quarters when I see 25, 50, 75, 100. So I can divide by 25 on both of those, and I end up with 5 3/4. Here, write it as a decimal, 7/8. So it's going to be 7. Top number goes under the bracket. 7 divided by, and the 8 goes out front. Put the decimal, and then as you divide it out, you'll find out what your decimal is here. 13/20. If you can get anything to 100 on the bottom for the denominator, hundredths means 2 spots after the decimal. So if I times the bottom by 5, I get 100, times the top by 5, I get 65 hundredths. If I write that as a decimal, it's 0.65 hundredths. Same thing here. If you can get the bottom number to 100, the top number, it would go in the hundredth spot. So we've got to times it by 4 on the bottom and the top, and we get 12 hundredths. Writing it as a decimal, this is what it looks like, 12 hundredths. Decimal is the code word or bonus word for today, so take note of that. And then on the bottom, once again, I would fill in your entire chart. Oops, it's not letting me. Sorry, it's not going to let me. I would fill in your entire chart on the bottom with decimals, and on the top, fill it in with fractions, and then go back and answer the questions. All right, have a great time doing math today. Thanks for watching.